going to do is start the proceedings by asking you some questions. I know we've got 5 minutes at the end, I think, for you guys to ask me questions, easy ones, I hope. But if I could just have a show of hands, please, to ask you, how many of you truly know your brand's proposition? Gee, really? No, come on. You should know your brand's proposition. Okay, that's interesting. How many of you know your target consumer profile? Who are you talking to? Okay, that's a better show. And finally, how many of you truly understand the differences between your consumers and shoppers? I'm picking you up at 7. That's interesting. Good. Well, hopefully in the next 20 minutes, which is quite tight, I will help you with the last bit. Notice I'm using the old-fashioned notes because I'm of an age now where I can't quite see a laptop copy and I can't quite see notes held up here. So if I get this wrong, blame somebody else. Firstly, many marketers think shopper marketing is only about FMCG. Well, you're wrong there too, because it's across all categories. Whether that's utilities, banks, I know we've got a very mixed audience in here tonight, mobile phones, healthcare, food, beauty, whatever. As marketers, we try to influence people who are actively in the process of buying products and services, the shopper. So why do we see a gap between consumer beliefs, perceptions and shopper behaviour? And how do we leverage that knowledge to sell more? We know that consumers and shoppers are occasionally different people. Mum buys cereal, kids eat cereal. However, for this presentation, we've looked at after the much more interesting and challenging scenario where the consumer and shopper are the same person, looking at how their perspectives and behaviours change when consumer alter egos check in and they become shoppers. And it's here we need to understand the difference between the behaviour of consumers and shoppers. What they say and what they do are often very different and very difficult to interpret. Now, many of us claim to hold firm perspectives about brands, but the truth is that there's a world of difference between what somebody consciously says and what they actually decide, primarily in their subconscious, to do. We see this in traditional research, where people often tell us what we want to hear, and in an awful lot of cases, what they want to hear. But it's more important we understand and observe that actual behaviour when it happens. Seamlessly now into technology. 7% of car buyers in the last year said the most important purchase influence was that the car was environmentally friendly with low emissions. When car buyers who claim to be worried about pollution and congestion caused by cars were asked the same question, only 9% said the most important purchase influence was environmentally friendly with low emissions. Surely the gap should be wider. Still not convinced? We also found that those two groups owned exactly the same percentage of petrol and diesel cars, 53%, and the same percentage of hybrid cars at 0.3%. So the group with strong attitudes towards pollution, etc., had very similar buying behaviours to the general car buying population. So what you see and what they say are very different. So our first example by proof shows that strongly held consumer views aren't necessarily reflected in their behaviour. In essence, what consumers say and what they do as shoppers is very different. So why do we see this difference between consumers' beliefs, perceptions and shopper behaviour, and how can we use this knowledge to sell more? Context plays, context plays a large role in shopper behaviour, observation number one, but it doesn't happen in a vacuum. Context plays a large role. The same consumer with the same attitudes in a different context equals different shopper behaviour. Andrex is one example of brands where sales increase at Christmas. People want to show relatives and friends that they buy brand leaders. It's honestly true. A behavioural change that's actually led by social standing. A few years ago, we introduced a winter white pack which endorsed this, giving other shoppers that same reason to buy. So we were prompting and nudging them at the point of purchase. But it's extraordinary, other ones that do it are bird's eye peas as well. And I know we do this at home, we buy Coburn's sherry and put the cheap stuff in it. But anyway, another story. We also see that the same people across a range of price points due to their personal behaviour desires. The TNS data shows that 53% of expensive instant coffee buyers, Dow Egbert for example, also buy cheaper instant coffee. And one of the reasons for this is that their behaviour as consumers is different. a cup of good coffee at weekends versus a grab and go during the week. And shoppers are cognitive minds. It's a bit technical, but that means they have limited decision-making capacity, a short attention span, and we're all shoppers. When shopping, particularly for food, we are totally on autopilot. We rely on brands to think for us. Can you imagine if we deliberated when food shopping in the same way we would when buying a high-ticket item like a car or signing up to a long-term contract for a mobile phone, credit card, insurance? We'd all be in Tesco, and I think Tesco are here tonight, we'd all be in Tesco for weeks, which I'm sure you'd love, but the aisles would be pretty crowded. That's because many of our attitudes and beliefs take too much effort to apply and rationalise in those buying situations. As a result, choices are often guided by the salience of information and mental shortcuts. I just pick it and grab it. I go. I'm literally on autopilot when I'm shopping, and this happens to us all. So it's done on autopilot with little conscious effort or thought. I'm going to show you this example of outstanding or not outstanding shopper behaviour. This is the pack that Tropicana launched back in the US in 2009. It was the new pack design they did. What happened was, when the consumer's on autopilot, there were none of those brand recognitions on the existing pack that picked up. So what this brand actually forced consumers to do was appraise the brand that they would have just picked up and bought. So what they actually started to do was say, I can't find Tropicana. Oh, what's this one? This is Minute Maid or Florida Natural. So the brand was asking them to deselect. The frightening thing is that Tropicana's new look, and for the record there's the old one, a distinguished difference, is that they lost $33 million of sales, which is quite a cock-up, really. And they lost a huge amount of brand share. Obviously losing $33 million in 7 weeks would do that. They pulled it after 7 weeks and it went straight back to the old one, because what they'd actually done is made consumers turn off their autopilot. They reappraised their situation. And the worst thing that happened was they said, oh, Minute Maid or Florida Natural. They picked that up, it was 100% natural juice, they tasted it, it was cheaper, and they brand switched. So a huge, huge mistake and a huge error. So understanding those bumps and barriers to purchase and what your shopper does as opposed to your consumer is critically important. And like I say, this is not just in FMCG, this is across every sector. So what do we do? Well, that's easy. Traditionally, we've marketed to the person sitting on the couch, watching TV, reading the paper, or listening to the radio at home or in their car. Creating awareness is only one part of that puzzle, but understanding shoppers' behaviour adds another vital piece in completing our sell more picture. What effective shopper marketing does is improve our understanding of how shoppers behave in order to make it easy for them to buy by overcoming both the many conscious and unconscious bumps and barriers. So if we were asked to look at a piece of business from you guys tonight, we first of all need to identify what those bumps and barriers currently are. And then we would tick off and cross off each one as we eliminate it. We have to make it easier for the shoppers. So here are the 3 key shopper marketing techniques we use to help brands sell more. Uncover the context or define the job to be done, make it easy to buy, and introduce behavioural nudges and prompts. Understanding the shopper context will help uncover that job to be done. The job to be done is the higher purpose for which customers buy products, services and solutions. This is far more effective than trying to develop messaging based on traditional demographics and attitudes, as it accounts for the shopper context. It addresses what that shopper wants. So, I'm the other 2 guys came up with beers and I came up with water. That says something. When you're shopping, let's say for wine, is the shopper looking for a glug of wine to simply take the edge off the day? And I should be having a serious glug after this, I can tell you. Is the shopper looking for a nice tasting Cabernet Sauvignon? Or is the real job to be done making a good impression at a party or dinner with friends? That's 3 different shopper behaviours as opposed to one consumer behaviour. And this is one we all know. This actually changed society in this country, quite remarkably. Is the shopper looking for a meal deal? Or is the shopper looking for a quick, easy meal solution? Or is the shopper looking for a romantic meal in? Or is the real job to be done creating the dining out experience at home during an economic downturn? 4 completely different reasons for a shopper to buy that product, but very difficult to get that message across at the point of purchase. Now, some brands manage to do that. They have prompts and nudges, which we'll show you later. But anybody do these dine-in for £10? I mean, it is as good as going out. It's cheaper when you've got kids as well. So the key is make it easy to buy. Making your brand as easy to notice and buy as possible for as many shoppers as possible across a wide range of potential buying situations as possible is critical in helping you all sell more. Make it easy to buy by making sure you're noticed in both the buying thought process of your consumers and your shoppers' immediate requirement when they're in that alter ego shopping mode. Coke does it pretty well. You can get it anywhere. It's to hand. It's in every format that you want. This is a really nice example by IKEA. Has anybody seen this online ad? Basically, IKEA products help you save space. So the brand decided to prove that point by squeezing their entire catalogue into one online ad. When you move the mouse around the products, they're magnified and described. Easy to buy, sure. Just click on the products and you're ready to check out. Extraordinary piece of marketing. Brilliant piece of marketing as well. Here's an example of how we work with SanDisk and Amazon to make it easy to buy memory cards by providing placement messaging adjacent to devices that require memory cards. The camera no longer comes with a memory card in it. It was an amazing job we had convincing retail actually to even merchandise them together, because when this stopped about 3 years ago, a lot of people had bought a new digital camera for their kids or for their wife or their husband, and at Christmas they went, okay, everybody, they're around there, Gran's around there, possibly her last year with us, let's get that picture. And they got that picture, went on to the second picture, and then the memory inside had gone. So now you must buy a memory card when you buy a camera, very important. But of course on Amazon, when you buy it, the memory card will be there. And here, Slingshot. Does everyone know what Slingshot is? Okay, it's really, really, really clever. It allows shoppers to add any item to their existing retail online shopping basket, whether it's Ocado, Tesco, whatever. Wherever they are, accessing the information wherever they are in the world, allowing brands and services to sell immediately and directly, not just via websites, but on Facebook, emails, or through online content such as recipes. So if you're reading a recipe and you think, I want those ingredients, you click on Slingshot and it fires them into your basket, whether it be Tesco, Asda, or whatever. Amazing stuff. I mean, some of this is obviously cutting edge technology, but this is about understanding when that shopper wants to shop and what they can do. Are Microsoft here? No. Oh, okay then. I was going to say, please note other search engines are available. And I was going to ask for a beer from the guy from Microsoft, but he's not here, no worries. Compare the Market made it easy and fun for shoppers to buy insurance. By creating a memorable branded search, Compare the Market, for that read Meerkat, they make it easier for the shopper to buy when faced with a blank search box. Unbelievably, if you type Meerkat into your search engine, guess what comes up? Compare the Market. And it comes up fourth outside of paid for search. So even if you're a student at school about a Meerkat, we're going to sell you insurance. But it's an extraordinary brand asset that they have that addresses that immediate need. Behavioural nudges, my favourite bit, the third and final technique. It influences shoppers' decision at an unconscious level. So this makes it easy for me. This is a great example. So the first technique is defaults. What are we going to do to make it really easy for the shopper to do something they wouldn't normally do? And here's a real world example. The average, this is unbelievable as well, the average New York City taxi cab driver makes $90,000 a year. The wrong job here. And there are roughly 13,000 cabs in the city. In 2007, the mayor forced cab drivers to begin taking credit cards, which involved installing a touchscreen system for payment. During payment, the user is presented with 3 default buttons: tipping, 20, 25, or 30%. When cabs were cash only, the average tip was roughly 10%. After the introduction of this system, the tip percentage jumped to 22%. Those 3 buttons resulted in over $144 million of additional tips in 1 year. They are seriously valuable buttons. This one is a much simpler version. In actual fact, I access this and then use it as an example tonight. This simple behavioural nudge of Think For Me shows how Argos pet insurance can influence a shopper's behaviour. The highlighted icon is obviously the one Argos want to sell, and as a result, shoppers are most likely to choose. They created a buying signal that this is the right policy and the most common choice, and that's the one you click on. This programme we undertook for Kleenex nudged consumers in store to actively seek Kleenex out. Packs were positioned throughout the store at secondary purchase points, highlighted at the point of sale via bus stops and banners. Shoppers actively engaged in an instant treasure hunt with the chance to win prizes. So there was a prompt for the shopper, literally at the point of purchase, to go and do something beyond their normal behaviour. Second technique is the use of social proof in buying situations. Has anybody bought anything purely because of 5-star reviews, TripAdvisor and everything else like that? I would have thought, if you think about it, most of us have, because it just takes the hassle away. If somebody's given this 5 stars and it's got reviews and I read down those 3 5-star reviews, this is the best thing I've ever bought, I'll buy it. It's so much easier. It stops me having to go through that whole process of research and everything else. And we work with Amazon. This example clearly shows how the simple adage of bestseller influences shoppers' behaviour. If everyone else says it's good, it has to be good. And I'll believe that. Mind you, in marketing we believe in it. Now, we've developed a number of tools and processes to help us understand, implement and measure the behavioural difference between consumers and shoppers. They're too lengthy to go through here, but they are pretty profound in what they allow us to do, both in reviewing a campaign and also putting down before we start a campaign. I'll highlight a few. Shopper ROI tools. I know return on investment is so critical to everybody. It actually allows us to predict how much sales revenue and profit can be expected from different types of shopper marketing activities. So we do that normally before, not after like a lot of ROI is done. We do it before so that we can project what the income's going to be. And sometimes we will turn around to a client and say, you're not going to make a huge amount of money here, but your brand awareness is going to increase. Our promotional evaluation model monitors, quantifies and analyses the impact of promotional activity by channel. Visual information service helps us determine visual cues on the shopper journey without these great big infrared things that are strapped on the head. They evaluate the impact of point of sale materials in context and assess the standout and message hierarchy on packaging. The promo signature identifies the types of promotional activities shoppers react to. The shopper journey analysis model, which covers awareness of need, consideration of options and conversion, purchase decision and advocacy, helps identify the bumps and barriers to purchase, allowing us to help brands overcome them. And our touchpoint analysis tool helps us to prioritise touchpoints based on their role and value in that consumer journey. And space planning, using JDI space planning tools, we optimise the fixture by recommending product mix and number of facings to reflect those shopper profiles. And a final challenge to you as consumers and your alter egos. Next time you're going to buy something, consider the process you undergo. Do this. I do this every time now, which gets a bit boring, but what are you buying? Where are you buying it? How are you buying it? What or who influenced you to buy it? And most importantly, why are you buying it? Was it a basic need or a desire? Only then will you truly begin to understand the difference between a consumer and their alter ego, the shopper. So thanks very much for staying awake, or at least not looking out the windows. It's pretty spectacular views.